Okay, we are in today. Hi, everyone. Welcome to day 4. Really excited to have you in. Sorry for all of you earlier who were on the call just before lining up, and something happened, and suddenly everyone got kicked off the call, right? So apologies for that. But look, we started on time. We are here, and let's get moving. So let me start. Very happy morning to you. I'm going to start sharing my screen. Just give me a minute. We've got lots of great stuff to cover today. This is the most exciting topic of all for me. It's about storytelling and the value of story. Okay, so let me. Okay, so can you guys all see my screen? Just say yes. It should say number 4. It should say day 4. Okay, let's keep going. Great stuff, great stuff. Okay, so we are in day 4, and so as I mentioned, right, day 4 today is the value of story. So the last 3 days, we've actually been doing a lot of bouncing back work, right, to actually bounce back. So the way that we're doing it is we bounce back, and then we can recover lost sales. So today is the beginning of actually starting to recover your lost sales. So today is an exciting day. Today we're going to talk about the value of story and why story is unlike anything that you have heard before. Okay, this information is unlike any kind of information that I've shared with you before about storytelling. And the beauty is that this thing is actually going to help you monetize and help you recover your lost sales. Okay, let's get into it. So as usual, the 3 things you have to do is do the homework, watch the lesson, right? Do the homework, or and then do the 1 action item that you have to do. Okay, today's action item is super easy, and you will see later. And also, I will let we've got some exciting stuff happening tomorrow, which is separate from the 10-day challenge, right? But it's going to be really full of value and really amazing. And I'm going to, let Harvey also share these extra activities that we have. These are all bonuses over and above the value that you're getting from the 10 days. Okay, so let's go, let's go, let's go. How was the homework yesterday, everyone? Did you, was it easy? Was it fun? Did you enjoy listening to Sean Acor? Was it good? Put in the chat, right? How did you feel about the homework yesterday? I did see some comments from you in the Facebook group. Those of you clearly actually watched Shane Acor, Sean Acor, and really understood his point of view, right? For those of you who haven't, we still have time. You can go back and watch that, right? That's in the Facebook group. Good stuff. Elena says, really enjoyed it. Good, great, great, great. Okay, so now I'm pretty pumped up today. I want to get on to day 4, but before that, let's just quickly cover day 3, okay? So yesterday we covered about the importance of asking questions, the importance of being curious, and this is probably the single most important thing that a leader, that somebody who wants to make a change, that someone who's successful, that they have, right? It's that innate hunger and curiosity. Okay, we talked about your superpower. And for those of you who already know what your superpower is, great. But for those of you who didn't know, we talked about how you can find your superpower, the power that will give you money, will give you success, will give you relationships, will give you the ability to actually feel like you're living a fulfilled life. Okay. All right. So now we move on to the crisis curve. I call it the crisis curve. And the point that is a fork in the road, right? So at your deepest point, when you get that fork in the road, what happens to you? Okay. Do you accept it, or do you say, no, 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 I still want to stay in my, horrible situation. I enjoy being miserable and I want to stay, and then you start going lower and lower, right? So it's recognizing that. Okay, next we have got the Heart Math Institute, where there was a very, very simple exercise that you were meant to do, that very, very simple exercise. And this simple exercise was using the attention, breathing from your heart pretty much, right? So whenever you're having a problem, whenever you're feeling uneasy, because everyone goes through this feeling, right? So everyone goes through horrible days, everyone gets bad news, and everyone has to deal with rejection, deal with difficult times. So how do you get rid of it? So as I mentioned to you, just thinking positive is not going to be enough. You need to do something more different, because the thoughts are here, right? But the heart, right? The heart is where you're feeling that heaviness, right? So breathing through the heart is one way that it's been proven to actually help. Okay, now, and then of course we talked about Sean Acor and the research that he has done with Harvard Business School, and the 12 years of research he did, and the insights that he received. And we also talked about one of these things that you can do, right? Whether it's meditating for 2 minutes, exercising for 10 minutes, being grateful, or journaling, whatever it is, right? We talked about all those stuff. So great. So we are in day 4 today. Welcome to day 4, everyone. And so I got a question for you. Put in the chat right now, how many of you, how many sales professionals we have, of all the people in the chat right now, of all the people listening, how many, if you consider yourself a sales professional, put me, M-E, right there. Okay, great. Aya says me. I see a few people, right? Elena says me. Good, good. Joseph, Elena, Madeline, Robbie, they're all saying me, which is awesome, right? You're sales professionals. Okay, me. Okay, for those of you who didn't put in the chat, right, that you're a sales professional, you're probably thinking, oh, I work in marketing, or I work in project management, or I'm a scientist, I work with science, I'm not a sales professional. Okay, but you know what, whether you like it or not, you are in sales. Okay, if you've got a child and you want to put that child to bed and say no more iPad, now it's time for bedtime, you are in sales. Okay, if you are the very fact that you are actually working, you actually got a job, means you are in sales, because you were able to sell yourself during the interview, right? Says if you are a business owner, definitely you are in sales. There's no other way, right? You may have salespeople working for you, but you are in sales, because you're selling to your employees every day why they should continue working for you. You're selling to your customers why they should continue spending money with you. You're selling to your suppliers why they should give you the best price. Okay, so you are all in sales. Okay, so if you're all in sales, I got another question for you, right? The sales professional, right, is actually those belonging to a profession. So many times people look at salespeople and they think, we run away from salespeople. Let's face it, okay? Even though you are a salesperson, in fact, salespeople are the worst type of customers, right? They really run away from other salespeople because they know all the tricks in the book, so to speak. But I got another question for all you sales professionals and salespeople out there, right? Whether you think you're a professional or not professional, whether you're in marketing, whatever, how many storytellers are in here? Type story, S-T-O-R-Y. Type story so I can see if you think you're a storyteller. Okay, Madeline says yes. Aspire to be one, says Nurul. Excellent, excellent. Okay. If you are not a storyteller today, in today's world, and you are in sales and you're not a storyteller, my question to you is, what are you doing then? How are you selling? Because it's pretty hard to be selling in this environment without the power of story. Okay, and what do I mean by that? Let me explain further. Facts tell, but stories sell, and that is the difference. Okay, so if you are in sales and you're trying to share facts about your business, trying to talk about the features about your product, trying to describe how great your product is, but you don't have a story behind it, it's a pretty hard job that you have on your hands. Okay, so let me keep going further, and I want to ask you a question. Just say I put a monkey, okay? Just say we've got a monkey in the room, Okay, inside this room, inside this monkey's cage, so to speak, right? So the monkey is in a cage, a very big cage. I put 3,000 US dollars, okay? 3,000 US dollars. And I also put 3 bananas inside this cage, okay? Which do you think the monkey will choose? Those of you who think the monkey will choose the dollars, put dollars. Those of you who think the monkey will choose banana, put bananas. Let's see. Okay, I see some answers. Okay, a lot of you are saying bananas. Okay, the monkey is going to choose bananas. And you know what? All of you who said the answer bananas are absolutely correct. Okay, you are right. The monkey will choose bananas. Okay, but the question I asked is actually not a very good question. Remember, we talked about asking questions and asking the right questions. So my question is to you is, what will the monkey choose? Okay, and the answer is pretty obvious. Okay, so there was another guy who actually asked the same question about the situation. Okay, his name is, anyone guess who he is? Write in the chat. Who do you think this guy is? Exactly, absolutely correct. This is Jack Ma. He's a multi-billionaire and he is a very, very successful entrepreneur. And he also asked the same question, exactly, Alibaba, Jack Ma, exactly. He asked the same question about the monkeys and the bananas. But his question, like I said, was different. And again, the question is the most important thing, not the answer. Okay, so he asked this question and he answered it. Okay, if you put bananas and money in front of monkeys, monkeys will choose banana, right? Why? That's the question. Because monkeys don't know that money can buy a lot of bananas. Think about it. 3,000 US dollars can buy so many bananas, not just for this monkey, but also for the whole monkey's family and for maybe 10 generations down, right? That is the power of that 3,000 US dollars. But sadly, the monkey has no idea. Okay, so now think about it, right? If we put ourselves in that monkey's situation, right? Now let's put ourselves in the monkey situation again, right? The way that we're trying to sell today, the way that we're trying to move our monetize our business today is by focusing on the product. Okay, while there is a great opportunity with story, but we just don't realize it. We just don't know how to do it. Okay, and those people who manage to do it, they are already super successful. They are super successful billionaires. Okay, they have been able to monetize, learn how to sell with story. And those people who are still selling the old way, the old school way, okay, they are still stuck working really hard and making all the mistakes and making their life miserable. Okay, so what do I mean by this? And I will today itself, I will actually share with you. These are very, very important secrets that many people will not tell you, right? So many, if you ask a successful person, right, tell me the secret of your success. Chances are they will tell you a lot of things, but they won't mention it's about the way that I tell a story, right? They won't mention it. Only when they are super successful, when they are ultra successful, right? Maybe they will let it on, and I will explain to you later. But for what you need to know now is storytelling is the absolute fastest way to deliver results. And it doesn't matter whether you're in sales or you're not in sales, okay? If you're in sales, definitely. If you're in marketing, for sure, right? It's called brand storytelling. If you are in fundraising, right? If you actually do an NGO, not even doing anything regarding commercial interests, right? Yes, and if you are in HR, HR is completely different from all the other job functions, right? They deal with people. But if you use the power of storytelling, you will be able to recruit the top talent, the A-grade talent, and attract these people to your company. And they will come and they will work not just for the money, they will work for things that are more than money, which is the intangibles, which the story brings. So by now, some of you are thinking like, hang on a minute, you know, when I was young, my mother told me stories about the princess in the castle, and then the prince came and married her. And like, what is Indran talking about? Like, what does he mean by story and money? I don't understand. Okay, bear with me, stay with me, and I'm going to tell you, right? This is going to be a very, very interesting session today. It's going to open your mind, okay? It's going to open your mind into new possibilities of how you can monetize, how you can earn money from now on. And this information I will share with you, right? It's going to work for you in the next 10 days. Sorry, it's only 6 days left, right? In the next 6 days and further, right? 1 year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, this information that I share with you hopefully will stick with you and will help you to create money for yourself. Okay. Now, remember I told you that when you ask a rich person, when you ask very successful people, like, what's the secret for your success? They will not tell you, okay? Until they become untouchable. Then they start sharing this information. So here's an example of who today is the world's richest man, okay? Jeff Bezos is the world's richest man today. And look at what he's saying, right? He's saying you can have everything, but if you don't have storytelling, it's useless. Okay, so he recognizes that storytelling is the very, very important key. So what he's saying in this case is storytelling is the last mile, right? So you can look at a journey of 1,000 miles and you can reach 999 miles, right? And if you don't have the storytelling, you will not go to 1,000 miles. You will not reach your destination. Okay, that's what he's saying. He's saying that storytelling is the glue that adds everything together that leads you to your destination. But it's just not Jeff Bezos talking about it. Here's another billionaire. Okay, Richard Branson is again a multi-billionaire who is extremely successful, and people are very envious of Richard Branson. Why? Because of his ability to switch industries. So Richard Branson, you know, one time he can challenge Coca-Cola with his cola. The next thing he can do a Virgin music, right? Be in the music industry. The next thing he can go into airlines and be going to airlines. And a lot of entrepreneurs, they cannot do that, right? They cannot do what Richard Branson can do, because Richard Branson is a powerful storyteller, right? He can tell a story, he can get investors on board, he can get investor money on board, he can get customers on board. And when you've got the ability to attract good money and the ability to attract loyal customers, what else do you need, right? You've got a fantastic business model. So Richard Branson understands, right, that to be an entrepreneur today, to be a successful person in business today, you need to be a fantastic storyteller. And this is absolutely right. But let's move on. You know, it's not just Jeff Bezos and Richard Branson. These are famous people for sure, right? What about this guy, Gary Vee? Okay, he is very, very successful, a social media icon. And if we have time later, I'm going to play a little video on Gary Vee and what he talks about storytelling. Okay. And what Gary is talking about, again, is it being the most ignored skill, right? It's the most underrated stuff that people don't really know how to deal with it. So they just ignore it and they lose opportunities because of it. And today I'm going to share with you, if you are able to actually monetize this very important skill for your sales, for your business, if you're a business owner, if you understand, for your marketing, if you're marketing, there are people here who work in marketing, okay? For those of you who work in marketing, if you are able to tell a better story, imagine what type of customer engagement you'll have, what type of brand loyalty you'll have, what type of viral videos that you can create just using the power of storytelling. Okay, keep moving. So for those of you in marketing as well, this is an absolute god of marketing. Okay, Seth Godin is the grandfather of marketing. Okay, he's got over 20 New York Times bestseller books. Okay, and he is amazing. And he is saying marketing is no more about products. Okay, it's about stories. And he's absolutely correct, right? He's always been right. He's always been ahead of the curve. And he is right in this case as well. Let's keep going. Here's another ball guy. And he is saying selling a story is like trying to fly without wings. You know what? You can actually fly. Okay, use a rocket. It's a very crude way of flying. You use a lot of power to burn, and it can only go one direction, which is up. Okay, and but selling with story is like flying with wings, right? If you have got wings, you can actually go in many different directions, and you can actually control that energy or the fuel that you have. Okay, so that's selling with story. Another one from Seth Godin. Okay, today people are not buying goods and services. So if you ever think that, hello customer, I'm selling you these goods, or hi customer, I'm selling you this service, hi, okay, you realize that it's a very, very hard job that you're doing, because today people don't really buy on products and services. You know, they buy into brands, they buy into you, they buy into the stories that you have, they buy into the magic. Okay, and this is what Steve Jobs of the iPhone is so famous for, right? Because the iPhone, and it's another case study, maybe I'll cover it tomorrow about the iPhone and Apple and the case studies, right? But speaking of Steve Jobs, okay, Steve Jobs, as we know, is the most amazing marketer of all. Okay, and he says that storytelling, right, is so important. He considers a storyteller the most powerful person in the world, right? Wow, wow. Imagine that. The Steve Jobs, okay, I'm not saying that. Steve Jobs is saying the most powerful person in the world is the storyteller, right? Not the person with the guns, not the person with the money, not the person with not the country with the most population or anything else, right? With the most resources, with the most gold, with the most diamonds. The person with the story is the most powerful person in the world. So by now, you're probably thinking like, okay, I get it, I'm interested, but tell me a little bit more about this story, because all the stories I know is, hey, what happened with my friend at the weekend, and they told me a story, or I tell a story about how, you know, my cat did this, or my dog did that, right? Or my grandmother used to tell us bedtime stories, and we really enjoyed it. Is it that kind of story? No, it is not that kind of story, right? It is, when I talk about stories, 99.9% of stories are stories for entertainment, which is what you see in the movies, which are great, but I'm not talking about the 99.9%. I'm talking about the 0.01% of storytelling, which is storytelling for business results, storytelling for sales, storytelling for marketing, storytelling for recruitment, storytelling for change management, storytelling for crisis communication, right? This is the 0.1% of storytelling that actually works in the business world. So a lot of people make the mistake of saying, oh, you know what? I look at Steven Spielberg. My favorite movie is Jaws, that Steven Spielberg did, right? Or Star Wars, or Lord of the Rings, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take that story and I'm going to try to put it into my marketing material. I'm going to try to make my story, and it falls flat. It does not work, because you cannot take a plant that is growing in the tropics, like a rubber plant or a palm oil tree, or a mango tree, and put it in the Arctic, in the cold country. It will die, okay, because it does not work. In the Arctic, in the cold countries, different plants grow. So just that same analogy, right? The same analogy, and don't make that mistake of saying, oh, okay, I'm going to take what I went to a great movie yesterday from Toy Story, and I'm going to and I'm going to bring the Toy Story into my selling, and let's see if it works, okay? It may or it may not work. So it's better that you follow the things that actually are working right now in business, okay? Which I will share with you. I will share with you over the course of the next few days over this challenge. This is, I'm going to share with you, because this is going to be your, just like Jeff Bezos, just like Richard Branson, just like Jack Ma, Alibaba, all these people, this is going to be your secret weapon to be successful. Okay, so as I mentioned, the stories they're talking about is not about fairy tales. Okay, it's not about this stuff that you were told as a child. Okay, what are they talking about is this. Okay, humans are set up not to understand logic, and this is very, very key. If you look at our brain, and this is research from Princeton University in the US, it's research from Cambridge in the UK, okay, and many other universities around the world. There are more and more there when they do brain science. So in the old days, and let me just explain to you, right? In the old days, it was very difficult to understand anything about the brain. Why? Because when somebody had died, that's when they could cut open the head and actually study the brain. That was the only way they could do it. Okay, they could not study a brain while the person was alive, because the moment you cut the person's head open, the person dies immediately. Okay, but today we've got something called MRI. Okay, MRI scanning, which is a magnetic resonance imaging. Okay, where you can actually take a picture, like snapshots of the brain. Okay, in different slices, you can actually take snapshots of the brain and build 3D models of the brain while the person is still thinking, feeling, dreaming. Okay, and this has made the research into brain science so amazing and so advanced now, right? And all this research is pointing to the fact that we are not really set up to understand logic. I know it sounds weird, right? But we make sense of the world not in terms of logic. Okay, we make sense of our world in terms of story, and I'll cover that more and more later today. And today's session might go on a little longer than 1 hour, because I really need to drive it into you that storytelling is the only way that you can actually sell in today's world, right? All the old ways are not working anymore, and you know that. You know that every time you get a no from your customer, every time you get a rejection, every time your customer ignores you, every time you put a post on Instagram or whatever, and you don't get so much of feedback, you know that thing is not working, right? So how do you storify your brand? How do you storify your sales messaging? How do you actually monetize your products and services? And this is where I'm going to share the information to you. So before that, I want to tell you that storytelling has gone on for a long, long time. You know, we are intrinsic storytellers, right? Since the day we were born. And this, you can see in Sulawesi, is the world's oldest record of storytelling. And this is the latest research, right? In the past, we had the caves in France, and it was 15,000-year-old paintings in France. Was the world's oldest, but now Indonesia has taken the #1 spot to have the world's oldest record of storytelling. Okay, and what this actually tells us, okay, in these caves in Sulawesi, actually tell us that people used to make sense of the world in stories and communicate in storytelling form. Okay, so storytellers, if you are a storyteller, you are able to make meaning for other people, okay? Because we see the world around us, we make sense of the world around us with meaning, okay? If something happens to us or something doesn't happen to us, when we see someone do something or someone does not do something, okay, we build a story in our head around us, okay? So if you know that your buyer has a story, okay? Do you know what your buyer's story is? And more importantly, how are you going to fit your value proposition, your product, your service inside the buyer's story? And that's what we're going to cover today. So let me explain to you very simply. There are three, I know I've covered this before, but I'm going to cover this again because this is a very central concept, right? And you won't find this anywhere on the internet, by the way. This is something that I have developed. I have learned this from researching a lot of neuroscience journals. I've done a lot of research, and that's, as I mentioned to you, my superpower is the ability to look at complex things and make it simple. So what I've done for you is I have taken maybe 6 to 9 months of research in storytelling, in neuroscience, in behavior, in consumer behavior, in biopsychology, and I put it to you in these 3 simple circles. Okay, so basically we all tell stories, and the first story is the story we tell ourselves. So people like Anthony Robbins, he helps you to change that story that you tell yourself. So, you know, when you wake up in the morning, you look in the mirror and you say, oh, you know, I am ugly, I'm fat, I am tall, I'm short, I'm thin, I'm whatever, I'm good looking, I'm bad looking, I'm successful, I'm not successful, whatever, right? You're looking in the mirror and you're telling yourself that, right? So you try to, you recognize that's your story and you're living that story, okay? Now, when you step out the door and you go and meet your friends, when you go to work, or in this case, when you get on a Zoom call and you interact with others, okay, you are now telling a different story. Okay, you're not saying I am ugly, I'm bad, I'm whatever. You're trying to put on your best version of yourself. Okay, so you're trying to put on the best version of yourself when you meet other people. So that's why you're wearing Prada shoes. That's why you're wearing a Rolex watch, for example. That's why you're driving the car you drive, because you want to show a particular image of the best version of yourself. So this is your image story. So the story you tell yourself here, which is the identity story, and the story you tell others, which is your image story. And then there's one other bit of story, which is the reputational story. So here, when you leave the room, people are talking behind your back, right? People are putting comments to your posts online, right? People are saying things about what you're saying, okay? And that is your reputational story. Sometimes you might like it, sometimes you may not like it, okay? So this is the reality of your world, okay? This is the world that you want people to imagine. This is what the feedback that you're getting from your image story, okay? So between your identity, and this is key, yeah? Between your identity and your image, there is a gap. There's a gap. That's why you have to fill it up with wearing a brand or identifying with something, okay? And between the reputation and your image, there is also a gap, okay? And obviously between your identity and your reputation, there's also a gap. Now, as a marketer, as a salesperson, as a business owner, as somebody who wants to be able to monetize your products and services, your best opportunity, your best chance is actually to slip your value proposition in between here, okay? Either in between these gaps is where you get that. But I'm going ahead of myself now because I will be covering that in the next few days. But first of all, let me explain to you the actual value of story, because today we talked about the value of story. So I'm going to tell you about why story is so important. Okay, now, how many of you have got a cat? Put in the chat. How many of you have a cat? Great. Okay. I see a few people saying you've got cats. Okay. Now, assuming you've got a cat or you've got a dog, right? But cats are an easier example in this case, right? So say your cat is sick, and you know your cat is sick. You've taken it to the vet, and the vet says, you know, your cat has got this stomach worms, for example. They've got worms, and you need to give these tablets, okay, these worm tablets for 5 days. Okay, so day 1 comes, and you call the cat, hey kitty kitty, or whatever the cat's name is, right? Come here. There's time for your food. What's the cat gonna do? No way. The cat never comes when you call it. So you have to go to the cat. So you go to the cat, right? And you take the tablet and you put it in front of the you put it in front of the cat. So look at the image, right? So the cat is thinking like, ugh, this is terrible. I am never gonna eat that, right? And the cat goes away. So what do? You start to panic. You're thinking, oh my God, you know, if my cat doesn't take the medicine, I'm going to be in trouble. My cat is not going to get well. So what do? You grab the cat by the head and you say, come on, come on, I know this is for your own good. And the cat is like struggling, and somehow you manage to pry open the cat's mouth, right? You've managed to pry open, maybe you've got a friend to help you, and you've pried open the cat's mouth and you drop in the medicine, okay? What do you think the cat does? Put it in the chat. What's the cat going to do? Is it going to swallow or spit? Spit it out. How many of you say the cat is going to swallow it? Okay, spit it out. Exactly, right? The cat's not going to swallow it. It hates this thing. So it's going to spit it right out. It's going to spit it right out, right? Now imagine, okay, so you're thinking like, oh, okay, what should I do? What should I do? Okay, imagine your cat has a favorite food. And in this case, your cat's favorite food is actually peanut butter. For some reason, it actually loves peanut butter. Okay, so you think, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to take this pill and I'm going to put it into a dollop. I'm going to hide it. I'm actually going to hide it inside the dollop of peanut butter. So when the cat smells this thing, it's going to smell peanut butter. When it sees it, it's going to see peanut butter. Okay, and now when you take out the peanut butter and you put it inside, you don't have to say, hey, hey, cat, come here, right? Or you don't have to go to the cat. The cat can already smell. The cat can already smell the peanut butter from far away. And the cat starts running to you, okay? And you just put out your hand and the cat licks up the peanut butter, of course, along with the medicine, and swallows it whole, okay? So stories are like peanut butter, okay? Your products, your services, your facts, your logic, your arguments, and everything is like the medicine, okay? Your customer does not like these dry and boring facts, okay? If you're marketing, if you're in a marketing agency, where I used to run a marketing agency before, the client used to give me dry and boring brief, right? It was my job to add the storytelling and add the peanut butter into that medicine and turn it into something that the customers wanted. So you need to do the same thing, and I will help you to do that. Okay, so stories, this is Harvard University research. Stories are 22 times more memorable than facts, okay? We remember facts for a very short time, okay? We remember numbers, we remember facts, we remember, but stories, like if I asked you, do you know Pinocchio, the guy, you know, the little toy wooden doll whose nose grew and grew and grew whenever he told a lie, right? You know Pinocchio's story, right? You know this Pinocchio story, even though you've not heard Pinocchio in maybe years. It's been years, maybe 10 years, 20 years maybe, right? That the last time you actually read about Pinocchio or you heard about this Pinocchio story. But you still, when I say Pinocchio, you remember. But 2 weeks ago, what you had for lunch, you've probably already forgotten. You don't remember what happened 2 weeks ago, but you remember what happened 20 years ago. Why? Because what happened 20 years ago was given to you in the form of a story. Okay, and that's why stories are far more memorable and stories are way, way more important than any other method. It's the most effective way to communicate because our brains are wired that way, because we are hardwired as humans. We are hardwired to understand and appreciate story. And only in the last 100, 200 years that we have forgotten about storytelling. Since the start of the printing press, storytelling has taken a decline because of the fact that we could have a lot of books and information handy. So storytelling, oral storytelling, right? But before that, for thousands of years, maybe even millions of years, people have been telling stories orally, right? From word of mouth to mouth, right? As they say. So, but lately, storytelling has taken a decline. So most people don't recognize the power of it. And that is your secret power now. If a lot of people are not doing it and you start doing it, you get a sustainable competitive advantage. Okay, so let me tell you about the Jewish study. And this is going to, I hope, really, really fully make you understand the power of storytelling and how we did it, right? So, you know, in America, in many countries, they don't have a jury, they just have a judge. So whenever there's a case, there's the so-called the accused, the person who has been accused of the crime, just say of murder, and the person, the victim, right? The victim's family who is prosecuting the accused, right? So you've got somebody who committed the crime, and then the judge makes a decision. Just one person, right? The judge makes the decision, and it's done. But in the US, for example, and many other countries, their judicial system has got a jury. So these are like 12 people who come from all walks of life. They're completely neutral, and they get to do this jury duty. They sit down there and they make a decision. And in many cases, they are making a decision that could put a person behind bars forever or could sentence that person to death. Okay, so what they did was they did this study, and they said, like, let us find out, like, this is such a terrible thing, like, how are these people making decisions? Let's find out. Because they are not trained like judges, they're just independent people from all walks of life. One might be a fireman, one might be a doctor, one might be a teacher, or one might be a business person, right? They're from all walks of life. So how are these people actually making decisions whether somebody should go to jail or not? Okay, so they did the study and they found out that it's all down to storytelling. Okay, so the way the jury actually makes the decision is that, first of all, they listen very carefully to the prosecution, right? The facts and the figures and all what the prosecution said, all the information they're absorbing, right? Okay, this person was caught at this date. This person had this gun or this knife in their car, and we found the knife, and this, that, and this, that, okay? So they found all that information. And then they listen to the defense, right? The person who was accused. And the defense has got like, you know what, I was sleeping in my home, I don't know what happened, and somebody planted this gun in my car, I have no idea, and you know, blah, 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 whatever, you know, and all this story, right? So they listen to all the facts, and then they, of course, they're very confused, right? Because both sides are saying different things, right? The jury says, please believe me, you know, the prosecution says, please believe me, this guy did the wrong thing. And the guy saying, no, please believe me, I did not do it, right? So obviously they're very confused. So what do? They actually make a story inside their head. They create a story. This is what this jury does, right? And maybe if you're doing jury duty, you might do the same, okay? You will actually create a story of what you think actually happened on that day, okay? You will create a story of what you think, what actually happened on that day when that person was murdered. And then once you've created the story, you will lean towards the jury or you lean towards the prosecution or the defense, depending on which version is closer to your story. So if there's a more of a relevance and more of a match with the prosecutor saying that, yes, this person did this, and you think this is what happened, you will lean towards that. So can you see here how key this is, like how important this is? And your buyer, your buyer and the people at large, we are doing this all the time. We are making stories in our head and we are filling the gaps. So there are, you know, when there's lack of data, we fill up the gaps with story. Okay, when we don't have enough information, we make up stories in our head. And this is why rumors do so well, right? Because when there's lack of information, we create stories in our head. And then when we hear a rumor that is close to the story in our head, we accept it. We accept that, right? So stories can be very good, but stories can be very bad. So you will see somebody taking a gun, going and shooting innocent people, someone driving in a car loaded with explosives into a crowd of innocent people, right? These people have got a story in their head that is not, that is incorrect. Okay, they've got a story in their head and they've been reinforcing that story in their head. So really you need to examine, right, the stories that are going on in your head, whether it's actually serving you or not. Okay, so as I mentioned to you, we are hardwired for stories. I don't have a lot of time, but this is an example of magnetic resonance imaging, right? And a neural coupling. Maybe I'll cover this in another section. I'm going to push through this. Okay. Now, there is a bank that was going to be sold. Okay, this is, pay attention to this, because this is a bank. It's a true story, because a lot of you might be saying, hey, Indran, you're talking about story, but show me an example where story can actually get me extra money. Like, I want to earn extra money. Okay, so let me give you an example. So in London, they were going to sell a bank. Banks are just like another business. They are bought and sold. So they're buyers of banks who want to buy into banks, people with a lot of money. Okay, so there was a bank in London that was going for sale. And what the sellers of the bank did was they added up all the assets of the bank. Those of you working in a bank, bankers don't miss even 1 cent. Okay, they count everything. So they counted all the assets of the bank. They counted the goodwill of the bank. They counted even tangible, intangible assets. The accountants and the financial people in the bank, they counted everything, and they said, we are happy to sell this bank for 100 million sterling, which is British English pounds. Okay, 100 million sterling is approximately 150 million US dollars, right? They were happy to do that. And they said, right, this is our selling price. And we're happy to sell to anybody who wants to buy it. Okay. Just at this point, there were 2 investment bankers from Germany who came to London and said, hang on a minute, don't sell the bank yet. Okay, $100 million. Okay, what is your story? And the guys went like, what do you mean, what's the story? This is the price of the bank. We're selling this bank for 100 million. Whoever can pay it, we will sell the bank, full stop, it's done. And he said, wait. Let us create a story around this bank. Okay, and this is the true story. And this is a true story. Let us create a story around this bank. And so they created a story where they were courting people from the Middle East to buy. Okay, and they created a story around how that if the buyer was going to buy this bank, okay, they would be able to make London the hub of the Islamic world, okay, because the buyers was a fund from the Middle East that they were buying, right? And it would be an investment for the nation that they were doing, okay? And they created something which made the people feel that this was part of a bigger thing. It was just not buying a bank. It was buying something bigger, okay? So in the end, the seller managed to get extra money for the bank, okay? They managed to sell it for more. I'm going to ask you guys now a question, okay? They sold it for extra money, okay? How much extra could they sell it for? How many of you say 10 million? Put in the chat, 10 million. How many of you say 10 million? Put in the chat, 10 million. How many of you say 20 million? Put in the chat, 20 million. Put in the chat. How many of you say 50 million? Put in the chat, 50 million. Okay, I see some people saying 50 million. Okay, Aya says 50 million, Clarence says 50 million. Okay, a lot of you say 50 million. Okay, imagine you want to sell it for 100 million. This is million pounds, right? It's like a huge amount of money. Okay, even if you got 1 million extra, okay, it is already 1 million, it's 1.5 million US extra, okay? And it's additional money straight to your profit, okay? It's no additional cost, it's straight to your profit because you've already decided to sell the bank for 100 million pounds, okay? In the end, they actually sold it for an extra 100 million pounds. So they managed to sell it for double the price, okay? They managed to sell the bank just by adding one thing, which is story. How amazing is that? You can actually double your value, right? Double the value. Don't change anything. Just change the story. And they got an additional 150 million US dollars for their product. Okay? Because they were able to articulate the story. Why? Because people buy into stories. Okay. Now you're saying, oh, you know, that's a bank, and you know, I'm not going to sell a bank. I do e-commerce. You know, I sell e-commerce products on Lazada and Alibaba and the where else, right? So how can that work for me? Okay, good question. Let me give you this example. Okay, now, how many of you have heard of significant objects? Okay, a lot of people may not know this, okay, but maybe about 12 years ago, I'm sure you're all familiar with eBay, okay? So 12 years ago, a guy wanted to do a little bit of an experiment, okay? He said, what if I actually buy some items of eBay and then I resell it back on eBay, right? The same item that I bought, I resell it back on eBay, and but I'll only do one difference. I will change the description of the item, right? That's all I'm going to do. The item is exactly the same. I'll record the price that I bought it for, and usually the price that this guy bought it for was approximately $1. Okay, so he bought a couple of items for around $1 per item. He bought 100 of these items. He bought 100 of these items, and then found 100 authors, storytellers, right? Literally storytellers. Found 100 storytellers, gave them all these items, and said, "Can you write a story about this? I'm going to put it into the eBay description, the product description box, and I'm going to resell it, and let's see how much it can sell for." Right? It was a little bit of an experiment. Okay, so to me, these items are so ugly items. Okay, they are just like items I would never buy. Okay, I would never buy these items. They are useless items as far as I'm concerned. Okay, so but these useless items. Okay, so he bought 100 of these items for $125. So that means one item was approximately $1.25, right? He bought these items for $125. Okay. Now, definitely they sold it for more. Okay, definitely they sold it for more. Okay, so I want to ask you to guess, how much more did they sell it for? How many of you say double? Put in the chat, double. How many of you say triple? Put in the chat, triple. How many of you say 10x? Put it in the chat now. 10 times. You know, that means he bought it for $125 and he sold it for $1,250. Put in the chat now. 10 times managed to sell it for. Okay, great. I see here 10 times. Okay, it's going more. Okay, it's going more. How many of you say he managed to sell it for 25 times? 25x. Put in the chat. Those of you who haven't answered already, put in the chat 25 if you think he could sell it for 25x. How many of you think this could have been sold? He managed to sell it for 50x, 50 times more. Okay. Well, in the end, they sold it for 64 times more. They sold it for $8,000. Okay. Imagine your product, okay, your product that is selling right now on Lazada, your product that is selling right now on some online portal, okay? Imagine by adding the power of story, how much more could you sell it for? And you know, this is the beauty about it, because I watched the guy actually talking. And you know, when you type, for example, in this case, see on the left here, you've got wooden spoons, okay? It's called Hawaiian wooden spoons. It's actually the name of it, okay? So if people Google Hawaiian wooden spoons, right, they would see listings from many sellers, okay? There are many sellers selling Hawaiian wooden spoons. And most of them are selling it for $1.50, for example, right? One US dollar, $1.5. And then you've got this guy selling this one item here. The wooden spoons are selling for maybe $150, for example, right? And yet, okay, people are people clicked on it, people bid on it, and people bought it. Okay, even though they could see there were things that were selling cheaper for the exact same item. How amazing, how fantastic is that? The only difference, exact same item, right? If you Google the listings, the customers can also see that there are cheaper items than that, and they look exactly the same, but they did not buy those. They bought this item, right? Which had the story. Okay, so I bet some of you are curious, right? Like, what is the story? Okay, what is the story? Okay, you can go to significant objects. In fact, that is your homework. That is your homework, to go to significantobjects.com, right? And actually pull out. In fact, maybe what I'll do now is I'll actually share the homework that you have to do. Okay, this product here, let me put in the chat right now, your workbook, which has all of this. Okay, I put in the chat right now the click to your the link to your workbook. Okay, open up your workbook right now, and you will see the link for one of those items. Okay, one of those items and the story that went with it. Now, I want you to, in your own time, I want you to do that. Okay, in your own time. Okay, so I want you to write in the workbook why you actually thought that this product was actually worth much more than it was. Why did that person actually pay? In this case, it was a product that was $1 something. They paid 100 times more. So you're right, Armin. In your comment earlier, Armin actually said 100x. Okay, 100x, haha. Okay, it's not a joke. It's real. Okay, and this workbook, right, is actually this story actually did that. Right? They got an amazing result from that. Okay, so I want you. Let me just make my screen enlarge my screen, and it's taking a bit of time to load because I have a lot of slides. Okay, let's try to reload and see. But you know, I hope that you're looking at the workbook right now, and I hope that you're actually reading the story, right? You're quickly reading the story and seeing how the story was written. I want you to know, put yourself in the shoes of the person who actually paid $102.50 for, and to bid that high for it, right? Put your yeah, put it there, and let's have a look. Okay, now we're coming to the end of our program. Okay, I want you to also go to your Facebook. Today's action item, right? Today's action item is actually post in your Facebook your favorite movie of all time. Okay, your favorite movie of all time. That's your action item. It's easy, right? But more importantly, your favorite movie of all time. I want to know what is your. I want to know what is the reason for you wanting to say that that's a favorite movie of all time. Okay, I want you to do that. Now, another thing I want you to also look at, and maybe I will also bring Hadimi into the group. Hadimi is the admin for COVID marketing along my side. Now, can you guys all see my screen? Please type yes so that I'm sure that you are. Um, put it in, yes, great, thank you. Please put it in the FB group, the COVID marketing group, okay? Your favorite movie. Just, this is going to be your assignment as before, right? Okay. Now, the COVID marketing group, I'm going to put a link in the chat for you to join this group if you guys want. We're doing some pretty exciting stuff in this group, okay? And I wanted to share with you, I'm putting in the chat right now, okay? I want to share with you that this Friday, which is tomorrow, I'm having Eric Cornelius. So Eric Cornelius is an American guy, but he's got an agency in Korea, in Seoul in Korea, right? And it's called Bright Shiny Robot. And he's actually going to walk us through a detailed case study of how to pitch online, right? How to transform your online pitch, which is great. Every Friday I do this. I get different speakers from different countries, different parts of the world, and I actually do this. And the reason I did this whole COVID marketing is it's a free group just to help people who are actually having challenges. So if some of you in the group are listening to me right now are already in the group, right? But for the rest of you who may not have heard about this group before, this is something I would like to share with you, okay? Now, I also want to share with you, there is another, maybe what I'll do is, I will share with you, I'll let Hadimi come online. Hadimi, I've just unmuted you. Oh, sorry. Yeah, sorry, Hadimi, I just muted you.
No problem. Hello, everyone. Hello, Indran.
Hi.
You can hear me, right?
Sorry?
You can hear me, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So I just wanted to say that the main purpose of the group is helping all entrepreneurs in this hard time with them growing, but mainly with sales. So, and in this group, I wanted to know that there are many entrepreneurs from all over the world. So, not only from Southeast Asia, but from North Africa, from Europe. And this is what we're trying to do actually, is to make the group as large as it will be, I hope. And in order to make entrepreneurs from all over the world mingle together and share with each other, learn from each other, and why not work with each other? So I wanted to talk about another thing. I don't know, Indrin, if I should tell now that this week we are, this week we are planning to do right after the session, we are planning to do a networking session, like 30 minutes to 40 minutes of networking session between each other, because we didn't have the opportunity to get to know each other. We always like focus with the session itself, but we don't know each other. We don't know like what in which field we're doing, we're working, or how we can help each other. So I hope on Sunday, if it's suitable to all of you, we will be having the extra 30 minutes for a networking session. And let me know if it's like suitable for you. If not, which day do you prefer? And we will do it. Thank you so much.
Okay, awesome. Thank you, Hadimi. I really appreciate you taking the time and trouble. Hadimi is not paid, is not getting paid anything for this, right? She's not, she's doing the COVID marketing along with me. We are volunteering our time to help entrepreneurs, salespeople, business owners, and marketing managers who are actually having challenges during COVID-19. And we do a lot of this to help people. So one of the things is you can get information from me. Yes, I have information that I can share that is very valuable to you people. But between yourselves, you can also get a lot of amazing value, and that's what Hadimi is trying to talk about, right? Imagine you all get to know each other in this group, and maybe you can help each other from them helping you to sell more, or maybe you might find a customer, right, in this group, right? Or you might find a supplier or a distributor, or you might find some, because we're doing this networking now only within this challenge group, okay? But eventually, we will open out the networking to other groups. So then you will have, for example, in COVID marketing, we have people from the US, we have people from Europe, from Africa, from Asia, okay? We have people from in Asia, from Singapore to Korea all the way, right? Of course, Indonesia a lot, right? So imagine getting access to this group of people, right? And it doesn't cost you anything. That's the beauty, right? All you just have to do is just show up and introduce yourself and try to see what opportunities can happen, right? Because this is a time that's a bit very challenging for all of us. So we want to be able to help people to actually step up and get a leg up and try to move on in our day-to-day lives, right? So okay, so with that said, please go ahead and do the homework. The action item I will put also in the Facebook group under the units. It'll be unit 5, day 4. I will be putting it there so that you can, and the whole clear recording of this video today. Thank you. Thankfully today the internet seemed to be okay, right? I didn't see any challenges. Yeah, so we just have to say thank you to the internet gods, right, who are controlling the internet, right? So bye everyone. Tomorrow is an even more amazing day. Tomorrow I'm actually going to cover about. Today we talk about how powerful storytelling is. I hope by now you guys realize how powerful storytelling is, right? If you think storytelling is powerful, say yay, Y-A-Y, yay, right? Right, type yay if you think storytelling is super powerful. Tomorrow, I'm going to share with you about storytelling and sales, right? Like how you can actually sell using the power of story. So tomorrow is a super amazing day. Amazing. I love this group. I can see a lot of yays from all of you guys. Awesome. This is an amazing group that we've got here. Let's keep that energy high. Let's keep that engagement high, right? There's a lot of power, and between all of us, we can do so much. So let's keep that potential going. Have a great day ahead, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Indran.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you. Bye-bye.